Now, the worst Salafis in this country, brothers, sorry to be specific. I know you may not like this statement, but I have to be specific. The worst Salafis in this country are those of South London, to be more specifically in Brixton Mosque, because they are coming from very poor backgrounds and they are hungry. So they will kill for Fahad. They break noses in Brixton Mosque on 3 occasions for the love of Fahad. One of them even cried on the mimbar. He was giving a khutbah on a Friday and he was crying tears. His shirt was soaked with tears. Why do you speak bad about Fahad? If you were rich like him, you would do the same thing. Keep quiet about him. So he loved him so much that on the mimbar he cried, hoping that the news will reach in their report that they write report every month about the dawah they do. So in his report he can put, I cried for you, so increase my salary. He wants his report to look fancy. So poverty, why is it that the Afro-Caribbean community of Brixton Mosque, they are the most vehement in their love for Fahad? The answer is clear. Omar said poverty leads to what? To kufr. Poverty leads to kufr. So you find people who are in this movement are the very rich Arabs in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman. You don't find Algerians and Moroccans and Tunisians in this movement. Am I lying? Am I lying?
There are a few.
Now I'm talking in this country. Do you find Moroccans and Algerians in Salafi movement? If I'm lying, tell me. I want to be corrected. There's a few in this country. But the vast majority, are they in that movement? No. Just 1 and 2. The people of this movement are the rich Arabs in the Gulf who have something to lose. I was in Swansea. And they invited me for a speech. And the person, you will think he's pious because he has a beard and a thobe, whitish thobe, long beard. And he supported the regime. Now he got a scholarship from Fahad to study in the university. He said, well, if he was so evil, why did he let me study? He gave me a scholarship to study, and look, I have a PhD. So he's concerned, I'm going to go back to Saudi Arabia with a PhD from a university in England, from England. That means I'm going to get a nice job, a handsome salary. I can afford to have wives upon wives. I look at my beard, is so long and nice. But you know, they think they are insulting our intelligence. I will tell you how. I can make Hajj. So there's no need for Sharia. Look. So he thinks that Sharia, as long as individually he can benefit from the government, why not benefit and keep quiet? So the Saudi American bank, the Saudi Hollandic bank, the Saudi British bank, the Saudi French bank, I don't worry about that. Look, I get a salary. At first I get a scholarship. I get my PhD, I get a salary. He's not as evil as we think. If he was so evil, why did he give me a scholarship? I have a PhD. So many people, they have to pay thousands of pounds for their PhD. I got it free. So they accept the bribery. It is called the offer of courage. What is it called? The offer of courage. So these people, they accept the offer of courage and then cement the throne of the apostate leaders. But if you see this man, you think he's pious because he speaks Arabic, he has a beard, and he has a thumb. But we say to them, don't insult our intelligence. We don't accept you as a believer because of a beard and a thobe, because Fidel Castro of Cuba has a nice beard. And the Pope, every time I see him on TV, he has a nice thobe. Don't insult our intelligence. We don't accept you as a believer by the virtue of a beard and a thobe. We accept you as a believer by the virtue of your stance. What is your stance? I don't accept you as a believer because of your knowledge. The shaitan has knowledge as well. What is your stance? We only respect your stance. In their ill-fated attempt to defend the leaders, they quote the Daif hadith, or I've already quoted to you that hadith, that if he makes a mistake, you should hold him by the hand. Brothers, please bear with me, I'll soon be finishing. They claim that fiqh al-waqi is not important. Fiqh al-waqi means the fiqh of current events. Fiqh al-waqi is irrelevant, it's not important, because they are very, very selfish people. Their Islam is, you sign on. Whether you sign on a John Major or you sign on a King Fahd, you sign on. You live in double glazed house, and you have a couple of wives, so you drive a nice car. No jihad. Oh, there's no caliph, no jihad, no. So I don't have to sacrifice. No sacrifice. So this aqidah Aquida, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the biggest movement in this country, because most of the Muslims are hypocrites. So this Aquida is very attractive to hypocrites. Imagine, I can be a Muslim without making any sacrifice. Subhanallah. What a wonderful Islam. This is a new Islam. Islam without sacrifice. I sign on, live in double glazed house, have a couple of wives, drive around in P-Reg or M-Reg. No caliph, no jihad, no sacrifice. Subhanallah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are the strongest movement, because most of the Muslims are hypocrites. And if a Muslim woman wants to marry a man, sometimes she said, is he a jihadi? Oh, I don't want him. Because she doesn't want to give up home and away these tenders and neighbors. And jihad brothers don't allow their wives to watch this garbage. Also, oh, he's going to go to Afghanistan for training. I will be left alone. The women, they love to marry Muslim men who said that there is no jihad nowhere in the world. So you'll find people, hypocrites, they have 2 wives and 3 wives. And their women are also evil, because a woman is supposed to help her husband to go to paradise. So if I have a wife and I am a hypocrite, an evil scholar supporting the corrupted leaders, and my wife don't say to me, hey Faisal, what are you doing? You studied for 8 years and you turn out to be a scholar for dollar. I'm sorry, I don't want you anymore. You make me sick. If your wife can't speak to you like that, what's the point in having her then? So your wife is supposed to correct you and help you and pull you up when she sees that you're going astray. But these Salafis, their wives don't help them, so their wives are also evil. And the reason why they keep quiet is because they are also in it for the money. They are also in it for the money, so they can be able to dress in fancy dresses and so on and so forth. They are dunyafied. And women are more dunyafied than men, because the Prophet said when the Dajjal comes, most of his followers will be women and Jews. Fiqh al-Waqi', they don't believe in it. So for you to be concerned about the other Muslims in other parts of the world, it's not really important. How can you make that claim when the Prophet said, مَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي تَوَادِهِمْ وَتَعَاطُفِهِمْ وَتَرَاحُمِهِمْ مَثَلَ الْجَسَدِ إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْ عُضْوٍ تَدَاعَى لَهُ سَائِرُ الْجَسَدِ بِالْحَمِّ وَالسَّهَرِ. This hadith is in volume 8 of Bukhari, page 26. The believers, in their love, their mercy and affection for each other, is like one body. If one part of the body is affected, the whole body is affected. This is fiqh al-waqi'. Anyone who wakes up one morning and he's not concerned about the Muslims in other parts of the world, he is not one of us. Why? Because the Prophet said we are one body. If one part is affected, the whole body is affected. The whole body is affected. So if they don't believe in jihad because there's no caliph, why then when there's a jihad, an outbreak, they rush there? They rush there for wives. So they're like hyenas. As soon as the mujahideen die, they marry their wives. They are like hyenas. So when there was a jihad in Bosnia, they go to Croatia and marry women and come back. Why? Because they don't believe that there's a jihad, so they will never go to the front line. And they also go to the jihad to spread their Salafi Aquida. To spread their Salafi Aquida. They claim that the leaders are still Muslims because they see them praying on CNN, ITN, and so on and so forth. We say to them that Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul used to pray. He used to give khutbahs, and when he died, the Prophet said, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَمَاتُوا فَاسِقُونَ. Surah Tawbah, verse 84. Do not pray over a single one of them who die, nor should you stand by their graves. They die rejecting faith in Allah and His Messenger, that they die while they are in a state of fisk. When the Prophet stood up to pray over this man, Omar grabbed onto the shirt of the Prophet and was pulling the Prophet down. Will you pray over this man? Sayyid Rizzi. Will you pray over this man, O Messenger of Allah? He's a hypocrite. The Prophet still prayed over him. He did not listen to Omar. And what did Allah do? Allah revealed Surah Tawbah 84, telling the Prophet that Omar was correct and you, the Prophet, was wrong. Even though this man, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, used to pray and he used to give khutbahs in the masjid, he died a kafir, he died a hypocrite. So a person praying is no evidence that he is a believer, firm in Islam, firm with Iman. Now they claim that the leaders, they are still Muslims, even though they kill Muslims. And we say, you claim that you follow the pious predecessors, so bring us one evidence from the pious predecessors that the leaders are Muslims even though they kill Muslims. Oh, Hajjaj. Hajjaj is our evidence. So you're no longer following the pious predecessors because your example is Hajjaj. So you're no longer following the pious predecessors. So they said Hajjaj was not called a kafir and he used to kill Muslims. So since they didn't make takfir on Hajjaj and he used to kill Muslims, then when the leaders kill Muslims, they are still Muslims. First of all, some scholars, some Sahabas pronounce Hajjaj a kafir. Okay? Some, for example, Abdullah ibn Zubair pronounced Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi a kafir. So for you to say they didn't make takfir, that's a lie. Some Sahabas did it. Secondly, you cannot compare the leaders of today with Hajjaj because Hajjaj implemented the Sharia. Thirdly, Hajjaj did jihad. Hajjaj, his army went as far as India. He did jihad. So since Hajjaj did jihad, he implemented the Sharia, he didn't take kafirs for his friends, you cannot compare him to the leaders of today. Fourthly, when Hajjaj killed people, he didn't kill them because they wanted the Sharia. He killed them because they were about to overthrow him. So he killed them for personal reasons, not for Islamic reasons. Fifth evidence to refute them, when Umar ibn Abdulaziz was asked about Hajjaj, he said if all the prophets before Muhammad should bring forward their evil and corrupted people, their talents, and we should bring Hajjaj, we would win the competition. So you claim that you are following the pious predecessors, and you are following the Sunnah of Hajjaj. And Umar ibn Abdulaziz said if we should compete with the other prophets that came before Muhammad to see who had the wickedest man in their Ummah, Hajjaj would be the wickedest, we would win the competition. So you are not following the pious predecessors, you are following Hajjaj, who was branded as a kafir by some Sahabas, and who Umar ibn Abdulaziz said was the wickedest man to walk earth. So how can you claim that you're following the pious predecessors? They have a lot of Jewish traits. I will mention about 13 Jewish traits they have, so they are the Yahud of the Ummah. The Pseudo Salafis, they are the Yahud of the Ummah. The first Jewish trait, they believe in a part of the book, and they reject another part. And this is why they do not believe in Tawhid Hakimiyya. The second Jewish trait, they mix truth with falsehood. So when they write a book, they quote strong hadith. That's the truth. So where's the falsehood? The explanation. They give dodgy, wrong explanations to the hadith. The third Jewish trait, they hide knowledge. They hide knowledge. So when their scholars write books on Tawhid, they don't mention Tawhid al-Hakimiyya. When their scholars write books on Shirk, they don't mention the Shirk of dumping the Sharia. They hide knowledge, which is a Jewish quality. The fourth Jewish trait, they take their scholars as lords beside Allah. So the Jews used to follow their scholars. In Tawbah 31, Allah said, اتَّخَذُوا أَحْبَارَهُمْ وَرُهْبَانَهُمْ أَرْبَابًا مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. They have taken their priests and rabbis as Lord instead of Allah. These are the Jews. The Salafis, they take their priests and rabbis as Lord instead of Allah, because when they make haram halal and halal haram, they follow them. The fifth Jewish trait, they claim paradise for themselves. They claim that paradise is exclusive to them, and I've quoted to you, I've shown you the book where they said it is paradise is for them, and this is the book, An Introduction to the Salafi Dawah, page 2. And the Jews said, we are the chosen people of Allah, paradise is exclusive to us. And another Jewish trait, they do not practice al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. They do not enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. So the Salafis said that if you enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, you are creating fitna. So what is their definition of fitna? Their definition of fitna is for you to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. So if you expose the scholars, if you expose the leaders, the evil leaders, the kafir leaders, like how Safar Hawal and Salman al-Awla did it, they pronounced you a Khawarij, a Mubtadi, and you are a Fattan, you are creating fitna. So they said to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, meaning you are creating confusion. And the Jews, they do not enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. This is why they will turn into apes and swines. Another quality that they have, which is exactly like the Jews, they pride themselves in dress. Isn't that so? So if you see a Jew in Brooklyn, you know he's a Jew because of his way of dress, because they want to look different from you. And the Salafis, they pride themselves in the way they dress, and they condemn you if your dress is too long, your trousers is too long. And their women, they make niqab fard upon other women, even though niqab is only a sunnah. And the Salafis, I will explain, they oppress their wives the way Jews oppress their wives. And the Jews, they have honor killing. If the woman do anything wrong, they kill the woman. Jews have honor killing. Salafis, they stop their women from educating. They force them to wear niqab, and they stop them from driving cars. All these are examples of how they oppress women. Any hadith to give women freedom, liberation, and prestige, they say the hadith is weak. Every hadith to give a woman her freedom, her liberation, her honor, they said that hadith is a weak hadith. Another quality of theirs, the ninth, they show off with knowledge. So the Jews, they would go to the Prophet and said, tell me about the soul. What is the soul? Tell me about the people. When they go to paradise, what will be the first food for them? They like to show off with knowledge. Salafis, they like to show off with knowledge, so they'll come to you and say, where is Allah? Brother, where is Allah? And if you say Allah is everywhere, astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. How comes you are in Islam 10, 15 years and you don't know where Allah is? Allah is on His throne above the seven heavens. So the same way the Jews seek knowledge to show off, the Salafis, they seek knowledge to show off. They only accept the rich as their leaders. And the reason why they love King Fahd is because he's rich. So you find Salafis like Al-Muntada Salafis, the Salafis in Al-Muntada, Parsons Green, they make takfir on all the leaders except King Fahd because he's rich. And they are called Salafi Sururis. Salafi Sururis. They make takfir on all the leaders except Fahd, because Fahd is rich. And the Jews, when Saul was chosen to be their king, they said, he become leader over us. He only has one mule. He can't lead us. We have hundreds of mules. He can't be our leader. So the Jews, for you to be a leader over them, you have to be rich. And the Salafis, for them to love you as a leader, you have to be rich. That's another Jewish trait they have. They broke the covenant with Allah. The Jews broke their covenant with Allah. Salafis break their covenant, and that is to establish the Islamic Sharia. The verdict on the Salafis, I've given you their descriptions, I've given you their Aquida, I will not give you the verdict. Salafis are major hypocrites. There is no difference between a Salafi and a disciple of Musaylima. Musaylima exchanged the Sharia, and he had people who helped him, supported him, fought for him. Salafis, they will fight and kill for King Fahd, who dismantled the Sharia. There is absolutely no difference between a Salafi and a disciple of Musaylima. Therefore, you are not allowed to pray behind a Salafi. Your salah behind them is batil, because they are major hypocrites. They are mega hypocrites. And now you know why I delayed the speech for 4 years, because I make sure you can handle the verdict when I deliver the verdict on you. They are major hypocrites. You are not allowed to pray behind them. How can they be true believers when they take sides with people who dismantle the Sharia and they sell their religion, they exchange their religion for money, the pomp and glitter of the life of this world? And any woman who is married to a Salafi, she has to disassociate herself from him and make bara from him. How can she cohabit with a man who betrayed Allah Ta'ala, His Messenger, Al-Islam, and the Muslims? She should abhor such a man. Just to look in his face should make her feel upset and sick. So how can she cohabit with a man, marry a man and cohabit with him? This is the verdict on the Saudi Salafis. They are major hypocrites. I will now pause and take questions. Where's the mic? One of the wicked fatwas this Salafis passed is that peace with Israel is permissible, and it was Bin Baz who passed. It's not allowed. It's not allowed for us to have peace with Israel, because whenever the enemy enters the Muslim land, you have to fight and throw him out. And the scholars said the enemy doesn't have to enter. 20 miles away, they have approached the Muslim land 20 miles away. Jihad becomes fardul ayn on every Muslim, male and female, to kick the enemy out, to fight and repel the enemy. So when they say that peace with Israel is allowed, that's a vicious and evil fatwa, because you are not allowed to have peace with the Jews. They have captured Muslim land, they rape our women, they bombard, they bulldoze our homes down, they kill our children. So how can you have peace with that enemy? So Israel has to be destroyed, and it is fardul ayn on every Muslim to destroy Israel. That's a vicious fatwa passed by them. And Albani passed a fatwa that says you should leave Israel. The Palestinians should leave Israel and give it to the Jews.
Can you just explain? Some of them say that we shouldn't correct scholars because we don't have knowledge.
They claim that you shouldn't correct the scholars because we don't have knowledge. First of all, where did they get the evidence that you're not allowed to correct scholars or question scholars? I will use one Quranic ayah and one hadith to flush that Aquida down the drain. When the Prophet stood up to pray over the woman who was stoned to death for committing zina, what did Omar say? Will you pray over her even though she committed zina? And the Prophet said to Omar, "O Omar, she made tawbah, repentance. If we should divide it up among the people of Medina, it will take 70 of them to the paradise." So Omar questioned the Prophet. Isn't that so? I will give you another evidence. The angels questioned Allah. So when Allah said, "I am about to create a vicegerent on earth, inni ja'ilun fil ard khalifa," the angel said, "Will you put on earth that which will create mischief and shed blood while we are here celebrating your praise?" So the angels question Allah, "Will you put on earth that which will create mischief and shed blood while we are here celebrating your praise?" And which surah is this? Baqarah. So this evidence flushes down the drain their dodgy Aquida. You are supposed to question your scholars. And I am here teaching you the deen. You are not supposed to follow me blindly. You say to me, "Faisal, I follow you as long as you follow Quran and Sunnah." You have not gone down a drain which you have no evidence, so bye-bye. I hope that's clear. No blind following. You only follow the Prophet blindly. Ibn Abbas stood over the grave of the Prophet and pointed to the grave and said, "Every man we take from him and we dump some of what he says except the person who is in this grave." And Ibn Abbas pointed to the grave of the Prophet. You only follow the Prophet blindly. To follow another person blindly is shirk. And the reason why you follow the Prophet blindly is because everything the Prophet says is hadith, and hadith is revelation, wahy. Allah said, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Muhammad doesn't speak from his hawa, he speaks from revelation revealed unto him.
Can we take any knowledge from their scholars?
Can you take knowledge from the Salafi scholars? If a Salafi scholar should write a book talking about menstruation, then you can take it. Or the description of prayer, you can take it. It's very difficult for you to see which knowledge you can take from them, really. Because Hajj, Uthaymin said, he was given a speech in Mecca, and he said, anybody whose Hajj visa is expired, it's haram for him to listen to my khutbah. So even fatwas on Hajj you can take from them. It's better for you to shun their scholars if you want to be on the safer side.
When the man come to the Prophet Muhammad and he say he didn't take his shoulder, and he took his shoulder, and he fought and died in the battlefield, they say this is not the norm. And so what do you answer them with that? And plus, about the transportation, that they have to have a real level transportation. They quote this hadith, and so they buy the most expensive car and drive. But is it this hadith pertaining to when the people they have like the Islamic state, then we can have this before or after?
Even though it's not the norm, the man, he took his shahada, he went to the battlefield, and he fought, and he was shaheed. Now, if they're not convinced about that hadith, should I give them another hadith then? Do you want another hadith? When the Rasul conquered Mecca, he went to fight a battle immediately after that. What battle was that? The Battle of what? Hunayn. The Battle of Hunayn. The new Shahadas, about 2,000 people took Shahada the same day. The new Shahadas who were only a week in Islam, they went to the battlefield with the Prophet. The Prophet didn't say to them, by the way, you take your Shahada only a week ago, we can't use you, you're not firmly grounded in knowledge, get back, I'm sorry. Did the Prophet say that? No, he took all of them to the battlefield and fought. So if they want to refute that hadith and say it's not the norm, I want them to go against this hadith. The Prophet took all of them to Hunayn. Abu Sufyan was a new Shahada. And when the Kafirs attacked, some people run from the battlefield. Did Abu Sufyan run? No, he stood up. He was laughing at those who were running away from the battlefield. And I said, look at them, they are going to run until they meet the sea and they can't go any further. So Abu Sufyan, who was a new Shahada, he had the iman to stand up. When the Kafirs attacked, he didn't run and leave the Prophet in the lurch. He stood up, even though he was a new Shahada. So this is another evidence to refute their dodgy Aquida. And the sisters want me to mention another fatwa of Bin Baz in the book Fatawa. The question the person asked Bin Baz, what is the ruling concerning one who says some of the laws of the Sharia need to be reviewed as they are in need of adjustment, since they are not compatible with the developments of this day and age? For example, concerning inheritance, the law that says that a man gets twice the share of a woman needs to be reconsidered. What is the Islamic ruling concerning one who says something of this nature? Bin Baz said, the laws of Allah has laid down for His servants and has made clear in His noble book Al-Quran, are upon the tongue of His Prophet Muhammad SAW. Such are the laws of inheritance, the 5 daily prayers, zakat, fasting, and so on and so forth, that Allah has made clear for His servants and concerning which the Muslim Ummah is agreed in, may not be opposed or changed by anyone, as they have been laid down to be applied for this nation for the time of the Prophet ﷺ and after him until Judgment Day is established. From those laws is the giving of preference in inheritance to male children over the female children and grandchildren, and full brothers over half brothers from the father. Allah has made this clear in His noble book, and there is a consensus of the Muslim scholars upon it. It is therefore obligatory to act upon it with faith and belief. If a person alleges that something different from what the Sharia has stated is better or more suitable, then he is a disbeliever. Similarly, anyone who says that it is permissible to go against the Sharia is a disbeliever, a kafir. This is because he is opposing Allah and His Messenger, as well as the consensus of the entire Ummah. It is upon the ruler to ask him to repent if he's a Muslim. If he repents, that is accepted from him. If he does not repent, then he must be killed as a kafir, an apostate from Islam. This is because the Prophet Muhammad said, whoever changes his religion is a kafir and he should be killed. Whoever changes his religion is to be killed. Man badala dinahu faqtuluhu. So the sisters are very observant as well. They're reading.
What is it about you, the scholars who are on the payroll? Does that mean that you can't trust any scholar that gets money from a king? And also, were any classical scholars, do they ever get money from the king? Like,
very important question. Now, who is the father of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah? Abu Hanifa. And who is the Imam of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah? Imam Ahmad. When the Abbasid Caliph, who implemented the Sharia, he didn't exchange it, he implemented it. When he said to Abu Hanifa, let me make you Qadi al-Qudah, the chief judge, and give you a nice salary, did he accept it? No. He refused to accept the salary of the Caliph, even though the Caliph implemented the Sharia. He did not want to be on the payroll of anyone. And that Sharia, even though he implemented the Sharia, he used to make mistakes. And his mistakes were oppressive and tyrannical. So no classical scholar of the past is known to be on the payroll of leaders who dismantled the Sharia. There were scholars who were on the payroll of leaders, but the leader that they were paid by did not dismantle the Sharia. Ibn Mubarak's statement is clear. If you have a scholar and he goes to the gates of the leaders, don't trust him in regards to your deen, he is a thief. Sufyan al-Thawri said, I'm not worried about the leaders disrespecting me. What I'm afraid of is that the leaders will start behaving kind to me, so my heart will incline towards them. Whose statement was this? Sufyan al-Thawri. And when Abu Hanifa could not be controlled, he didn't pass the fatwas they want, they locked him up in prison. And what did they do? They poisoned him. And he died in Sajda, because he knew that they poisoned him. So Abu Hanifa, the father of Ahlus Sunnah Jama'ah, died in a state of Sajda. The best position you can die in, the position which the shaitan envies you for most.
You said that Salafis claim piety. Is there any evidence backing that? If there is, what do they say?
I've quoted the evidence many times. The book is here. Where is the blue book? I would appreciate if the brothers are more observant. I've quoted the evidence on many occasions. A brief introduction to the Salafi Dawah. They said that we are the saved sect. They said the Salafis are Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They are the Ta'ifa Mansura, the aided and victorious group, and the Firqa Najiha, the saved sect, which have been mentioned in the following statement of the Prophet ﷺ: they shall not cease to remain a single group from my community upon the truth victorious. They are unharmed by those who abandon them. So they have claimed it in page 2 of their book. I would appreciate if people listen more attentively.
They say thousands of people, they weren't afraid, but only about 50 rulers dismantled the Sharia. So why should we worry about 50 instead of worrying about 1,000?
Because the hadith is clear. Two sets of people, if they are upright, my Ummah will be saved. Two sets of people, if they are destroyed, my Ummah will be destroyed. The leaders and the scholars. So the shirk of governance is far more detrimental than the shirk that the Brahmins are doing. I hope that's clear. And the Prophet said, I fear for you I fear for you this fear more than the Dajjal, wicked scholars. So the shirk of dismantling the Sharia affects the lives of everyone. For example, there is no Sharia in Pakistan, no Sharia in Bangladesh, no Sharia in Yemen, no Sharia in Algeria, in Morocco. So there is no zakah system, so the people are poor. So they come to this country for money, to earn a living. So they come to this country, to the Kafir country, to earn a living because there is no zakah system, they are oppressed. And when they come to this country, their daughters leave Islam, their sons sell drugs, and their daughters sleep around and become prostitutes. So they run away from the frying pan and jump into the fire. While if they had Sharia in their land, there was Sharia implemented, Allah's right was given to him, then they wouldn't be in this plight where they come to the West and their children become kafirs in front of their very eyes.
If the Salafis have the wrong Aquida and non-Islamic belief, then who are the right Salafis?
We call them the classical Salafis. I said the classical Salafis are people like Safar Hawali and Salman al-Awda who demand the implementation of the Sharia and told the people in Saudi Arabia there is no Sharia in Saudi Arabia. These are called the classical Salafis, not the Saudi Salafis who cement the throne of the apostate leaders in exchange for money.
They say that the rulers are doing the less of the two kufrs. Where do they get their evidence from?
The Salafis, what is general they make it specific, and what is specific they make it general. Now when the Khawarij pronounced Ali a kafir, Ibn Abbas said kufr duna kufr, a minor kufr. So the fatwa kufr duna kufr made by Ibn Abbas was a specific fatwa passed at a specific time for a specific purpose, and that is to protect the character of Ali, the Prophet's cousin Ali, because Ali was promised the paradise. So they use that fatwa, which is specific, and made it general and use it to protect the apostate leaders who have dismantled the Sharia. So what they do, they misquote the fatwa of Ibn Abbas. Also, some scholars are of the opinion that the hadith kufr duna kufr is da'if. Ibn Abbas didn't make that statement.
Some people say that if all the scholars speak out, they will all go to prison. Then who will teach the Ummah? Can you explain, please?
This is a statement made by the Salafis. If all the scholars should speak out, they will all go in prison, so we'll teach the Ummah. You have to understand that Allah Ta'ala has promised to protect His deen. Allah is a protector of the deen. And Bin Baz going to prison will do more good for the Ummah than for him to sign on and get fat and cement the throne of King Fahd, because him going to prison will wake the Ummah up. And look at a man like Nelson Mandela. He's a kafir, isn't it? But he went to prison for his belief, and that is democracy. Nelson Mandela is a Democrat, and he sacrificed, I think, 20 years in prison? 27 years in prison for democracy. So why can't Bin Baz sacrifice 27 days or 27 months for Islam? Are you telling me that Nelson Mandela has more iman in democracy than Bin Baz has iman in Islam? His state, his plight is pathetic. So Allah is the protector of the deen, and Bin Baz going to prison will wake the Ummah up and will bring about the destruction of the tyrannical regime of Saudi Arabia. And do not think that Allah will not protect His deen. Allah said He is a protector of the deen. So Allah will never break His promise to us.
It is also said that if you speak out against the rulers, you will create more fitna. So it is better to keep quiet, as the condition of the people will not change unless they change themselves. So we must all purify ourselves in order to change the situation of the Muslims. Can you explain this?
Yes, the Salafis believe that to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong is fitna. Their definition of fitna is if you open your mouth and enjoin the right and forbid the wrong. We refute this by saying the Prophet ﷺ said, Afdal al-jihad, kalimat al-haq in the sultan, ja'ir. The best jihad is to speak the truth in front of a tyrannical ruler. So we prefer to go along with the hadith of the Prophet, where the Prophet said, the best jihad is to speak the truth in front of a tyrannical ruler. We will not go along with your dodgy Aquida. Also the Prophet said, Man ra'a minkum munkara falyughayyirhu biyadihi, fa in lam yastati' fa bilisanihi, fa in lam yastati' fa biqalbihi wa dhalika ad'aful iman. Any one of you who sees an evil act, let him stop it with his hands. If he cannot, let him condemn it with his tongue. If he cannot, let him hate it in his heart, and that is the weakest level of faith. So we have no choice. We have to do what the Prophet said: condemn it, stop it with your hands, or condemn it with your tongue, or hate it in your heart. So we are merely doing what the Prophet has commanded us to do.